So it's a really fast
pace,
roller coaster, and it's got a 91.
Oh yeah,
on Rotten.
picking that fire.
Hey, it's about 5 college friends. They basically set off on a vacation in an isolated cabin. But things aren't as they seem, as the friends have been set up to be sacrificed by a secret government organization.
Yeah.
And things get nutty.
Don't trust the government.
Possibly one of the most bonkers, some of the most bonkers writing ever.
Yeah.
You know, in this. It's directed by Drew Goddard, who I think we talked about recently.
I feel like we did.
He did something that's relevant. Recently. It was written by Josh Whedon, and Drew. But Josh is known for Avengers,
yes,
and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, amongst other things. The film stars Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Connolly, Anna Hutchison, Jesse Williams, Fran Kranz, Bradley Whitford, and Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
Definitely a star-studded cast
yes.
in this. It's actually pretty insane that they got all these people to do this. Fucking insane movie. Filming this, I can't imagine what was going through their heads. Like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah. This is gonna flop.
These guys are fucking on acid or something, So, what made you pick this film?
For me, this was kind of like one of those horror movies that I really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. It was really like kind of topsy-turvy, like you said, like these guys were probably on acid when they wrote it. And I really enjoyed that ride that you kind of took going into this movie. About halfway through, you start realizing what's going on and how what the outcome is probably going to be. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I didn't get to see it in theaters. I saw it, I think maybe like a year or two after it came out.
I believe this actually dropped. I think we talked about this last episode, but it came out Friday the 13th of whatever year, 2012 maybe. Yeah. But they dropped it on that day, which I thought was really cool.
That's cool.
Since it's so self-aware,
mm-hmm.
The way that Scream or other movies are. And it references so much stuff. There's like clear Evil Dead stuff in there.
Yeah.
So much stuff.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this movie from the first time seeing it. It's been one of my probably most favorite type of Halloween season movies to watch, or just any season really. But what about you? The first time you saw this movie?
Well, this is one that I was really anticipating.
Okay.
I was waiting for it, and I think it was like really, and it never rains in San Diego, but the day that it came out, I got stuck in the rain, and something happened. Whoever I was with, they got upset over that or something like that, and we didn't end up going to the movie. So then I didn't get to see it on that day, but we went another day. And it was awesome. It was everything that I wanted. I couldn't believe that they got that on the big screen. Like, got a theatrical release for something as nutso as that,
Yeah.
Because it really, by the last act, they just don't
insane.
care. They're
unloading everything.
They're like, by the way, there's like giant evil gods.
Yeah.
And that's why this is all happening, because we have to appease their appetite.
Yep.
With human
sacrifices. Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was really funny that I remember about this movie is I rented it specifically for my grandparents so they could see it, because I really wanted to know what their reaction would be. And I told them, it's fucking great, it's awesome, check it out. And I think they were into it for the first half, and then the next day after they finished it, I asked them, so what'd you think of that movie? And they're like, oh my god, don't even get me started. And I was like, you didn't like it? no, it off of its rocker, you know. It just like completely goes off the railroad.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Like they're on this one path, and then they're just like, oh fuck it, let's do this instead.
It's like the writers were kind of just like, what can we do to make this fucking crazy? And they did it.
But it
works.
It's so good
Yes.
because there's really nothing of its kind. You know, that's like a generational film. You know, for horror. I think like that's the. Almost, I want to say, it's kind of like the Evil Dead of our generation.
Yeah.
As far as humor, mixing humor and the horror aspects.
Yeah.
You know, it was so good at blending those, and it's captivating the entire way and funny, and you don't, even if you don't like the characters, you still care somehow.
Yeah.
It was creatively written and very well done by two masters of the genre, or just lovers of the genre, who knew all the tropes and all the inside jokes, and everything just kind of falls into place. And watching it today, I definitely am still a fan of the film.
Oh yeah,
I hadn't seen it in a while, and it was a good refresher for sure. What would you rate this?
Ooh, this one probably, I'd probably give it like a 9. Almost perfect.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a 9 for me.
Yeah.
Some good stuff. Do you want to do the or notes?
Yes.
You want to jump into the
Let's do it.
All right, start us off. Since
All
it's
right, man. So in the beginning, we start off.
Or real quick, let's do at the top. So if you don't want to have this movie spoiled, since it's one of those movies where if you see things coming, it's not as effective, maybe turn this off and go watch it. Is it on Netflix or anything?
No. You'd have to stream it on something.
Well, okay, don't be cheap. And
spend $2.99 or $3.99 on iTunes.
Go rent it on something.
Yeah.
Please. All right, let's do it.
So we start off with kind of these 5 all meeting up at Dana's apartment with her friend Jules, and then Kurt shows up, who is Chris Hemsworth. And was this one of his earlier movies? 'Cause he seemed pretty.
Thor was out.
Was it out already?
I want to say it was out. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Because I was already thinking of him as Thor, and I was like, why did he do something so obscure like this?
Yeah.
And it was actually because, and I'm spoiling a swan fact, but it was because this was actually filmed in 2009 and shelved because that whatever studio, I forget the name escapes me right now, but it went bankrupt.
Okay.
So it wasn't until another studio picked it up years later. But that was sitting there for a while. That's like 4 years.
Couple years.
Yeah.
But where was I? Oh, so they're all meeting up at her apartment, and they're going on a camping trip in the woods at supposedly Kurt's cousin's house or cousin's cabin. And they meet Holden, who is supposed to be kind of hooked up with Dana. And
he's like the newbie kid.
Yeah. And then Marty pulls up in his car with his bong.
Mug.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. When he closes it up, it looks just awesome. But yeah, so they take off to this cabin, and when they pull up, or no, they meet what's his name first? They meet Mordecai when they're getting gas.
Oh yeah.
On the way up there, and he looks like some hillbilly from hell, pretty much.
He's that token guy.
Yeah.
In all of these kind of those
backwoods gas stations,
like Hills Have Eyes, all those kind of movies where Wrong Turn, you meet somebody that's a clue that's like, you shouldn't go that way.
Yeah.
Or, take a left up here on this, and take this fork.
Yeah.
Because it's going to lead you short. You're going to get on the freeway faster. Mm-hmm. You know, where they're just like leading you to your death, and you're like, okay, so.
Like, thanks, buddy. He sure was helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of is just an asshole to them. He gives them directions, but he does it in an asshole way, kind of just telling them, just to fuck off, basically. And so they take off. They get to the cabin, and it looks very reminiscent of an Evil Dead, the cabin from Evil Dead.
Yeah. And
that's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. And I was like, wow, they're really pulling inspiration from that for sure.
And then Kurt's like, oh, yeah, this is my cousin's cabin.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, sure. But yeah, they get in there, and that's when everyone goes to their rooms and they start unpacking, and that's when you meet Steve and Gary, who are these two guys who are kind of like puppet masters, if you will, to this whole cabin. They kind of control everything. You learn that there's cameras in every room, microphones in every room. They control the temperature in that area. Basically anything can be controlled in that vicinity. And they keep on calling them, what do they call them, like just offerings? Do they name like the kids?
I don't think that because they're not trying to give away too much
anything yet.
Yeah, towards the beginning, so they're just we just find out that these guys
they're kind of under surveillance.
Monitoring them from afar. And we forgot to talk about that. There's this. So when the students are driving to the cabin, there's this hawk flying around.
Oh yeah, above them.
And then all of a sudden it hits this invisible force field. Yeah. And so that's meant to plant that in our mind for something that happens later.
Yeah. So they get into their rooms. Holden sees this creepy ass painting, and it's like some farm people murdering other people, something like that. And then he takes it down. He's like, no, that's not staying up. And then he takes it down, and then it reveals a one-way mirror that goes into Dana's room. And then he sees her start to undress, and he's like, oh shit. And you can tell that he's kind of like, oh crap, I shouldn't look. And then he kind of like turns away so he's not looking, and then...
But then he does want to look.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I gotta look a little bit. And then...
Before she actually takes anything off...
Yeah, he starts banging on the wall. He's like, stop. And he runs over and shows her and tells everybody, and they're kind of like, whoa, what the fuck? And then I think someone was like, hey, Kurt, what kind of freak was your cousin?
And
yeah.
And the reason why he took down the painting is because it was like fucking people murdering goats.
Goats or something, yeah. They're just like some brutal massacre on like a hillside somewhere. Which was like, okay, that's a nice painting to have in your room.
And then I liked what is his name? Marty says. He was like, oh, well, back in the old days, they had to build their own interrogation room.
Yeah. Oh man. Starting off, or I just want to get this out of the way. Marty is probably like my most favorite character in this entire movie because he's just so like out there and like with these theories. He's like, I ain't nobody's puppet. But everyone just thinks he's super high all the time.
Yeah, and it plays into he actually has the upper hand later.
Yeah,
because of something.
Yeah, and then earlier on in the beginning of the movie, we see Jules, and I guess she used to be a brunette, and she has dyed her hair blonde. And we learned through Steve and Gary that the people in I forgot what department it is, like the chem department or whatever, they have manufactured put some chemicals in her hair dye that dumbs her down slowly, seeping into her scalp basically. And then they're like, oh, the dumb blonde, okay, that's great. And then they actually put stuff into they did something to Kurt they like to raise his testosterone or something to make him super like douchey. But I don't really remember what they said they did, but they end up kind of doing like a little party thing, and they're all getting drunk, and
it's because they do bets.
Yeah, that's right. Or Truth or Dare.
And